Hello, today we're going to talk about the structure of the universe. So if you look at this picture, you'll note that there are three things over here in the key. We have the white is for universe, the green is for galaxies, and the red is for solar systems. So basically what this picture represents is that we have one giant universe. Within that universe, there are multiple galaxies. That's what all the green things represent. And then in each galaxy, there are multiple solar systems. So obviously there is only one universe, more galaxies, but the most solar systems when we're talking about this model idea of the structure of the universe. So what makes up our universe? Well, galaxies make up our universe. And galaxies by definition are large collections of stars, gas, and dust, and they're held together by gravity. They all contain multiple million stars, and some even contain hundreds of billions of stars. So clearly galaxies are very different in size. Some are small, some are large. And then there are three major types. There are actually more types, but we focus on three. So we focus on spiral, that clearly looks like an actual spiral shape. Elliptical, hard to tell in this picture, but it looks like an ellipse, kind of like an oval shape. And they're irregular, which is literally just a random bunch of stars that are clustered together. Our galaxy that we are part of is known as a spiral galaxy, and it is called the Milky Way. So this is our Milky Way galaxy, noting that we are here on this little planet of Earth. This is our entire solar system, actually right here. This is the whole thing from the sun all the way through. This is often confused as the sun, but this is not the sun. This is actually a giant cluster of stars. So our sun is one of the billion stars found in the Milky Way, but our solar system is not here in the center. It is on this edge. This is actually a spiral arm. It's technically the Orion spiral arm, and we are about 2/3 of the way out on that arm. So what else makes up our universe? Well, something else that makes it up is a nebula. And a nebula is a large cloud of gas and dust that's found in space. Most stars form from nebulas, and most of them can be created from the remnants of a supernova that's exploded. This is one image of a nebula that we've taken from the Hubble Space Telescope. This is the giant squid nebula because if you look closely, it does kind of give the illusion of being a giant squid. So stars also make up our universe. And stars are large celestial bodies composed mostly of hydrogen and helium. They are just giant balls of gas. The energy is produced by the process what we know as nuclear fusion, where hydrogen basically undergoes and leads to helium, which then emits the light and the heat that we feel and see here on our Earth. If you were to compare our sun to other stars in our universe, but also just even in our solar system, we are a medium-sized star, meaning there are much bigger stars and much smaller stars. And the next closest star found to planet Earth is known as Proxima Centauri, and it is approximately 4.2 light years away, so it is not close by. So Earth does make up our universe, our planet that we live on. It contains liquid water. It contains oxygen, which allows for us to breathe because the oxygen is found in the atmosphere. Also allows for plants to thrive and animals to breathe. And then we also have the ozone layer, which allows human life to be protected from ultraviolet radiation that's given off from our sun. There are a few solar system theories and theorists, and this one right here is the Ptolemaic theory. This is Ptolemy, who developed the Ptolemaic model. He lived between 100 and 170 CE, which means Common Era. This is known as the geocentric theory, also the Ptolemaic theory. And basically what it means, geo means earth and centric means center. So the idea, Ptolemy's solar system, was that the earth was in the center and that all the planets moved around us. His thought was that the planets moved in these tiny little circles that were larger circles. So they're basically circles upon circles. So if you notice, each one around is another circle. He viewed this and allowed scientists to predict the planet movements into the future. While you notice most of the planets still go in the same pattern, Venus, Sun would be where we would view our Earth today, and then Mars, you notice a few things. The biggest thing about this theory was that it was believed by pretty much everybody because you could see it with your own eyes and all the other things moved around us. We clearly weren't moving because we couldn't be feeling any motion below us. So this was definitely accepted, and there was a big theory and problem with the church at the time, and this was the church model that was believed and supported for multiple years. So that later led to a problem for Copernicus. This is Nicholas Copernicus, and he developed a similar model, but this was about 1500. So you're looking at about 1300 years later, and he developed the model of the heliocentric theory. And helio means sun, and centric means center, so he viewed it as the sun was in the center. And this was what we would know to be the first step in the modern models of the universe, because you notice that the planets do go in order from this point: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. But you may be noting that a few planets are missing. At the time, they only could see up to Saturn. It wasn't until a little bit later, and Galileo Galilei was able to basically develop and invent the telescope that allowed them to view further into the solar system and prove all of these theories. The Copernican model was not widely accepted, and that was because the church did not agree with it. For 1300 years, the Ptolemaic geocentric model had been believed and supported. And at that time, the church pretty much ran the world. Only men could attend, only well-being and very wealthy men could attend, and those people were the ones that were believed to hold the power and know what they were talking about. If you weren't educated, you couldn't read, and therefore you had to believe what the masses said. And the masses said Ptolemy was correct, even though with the help of Galileo, Copernicus would later be proven correct. All right, little science humor before we go. You are so geocentric. You are so heliocentric. I'll just leave that one there for you to figure out. Thanks for joining.